Hey, welcome to Mike the Baptist. I'm Mike.
And you're Baptist?
The Baptist.
Yep.
Well, no. Yes, I guess so. I go to a Baptist church.
Okay.
It's a long story. But anyway, good to have you here. It's going to be a fun day, I think. I've been looking forward to a day like this for some time. You know, back when Mike the Baptist started, I thought, you know, get my preacher friends, pastor friends, all those guys, and we'll make this podcast. But then I got to thinking, you know, I'm not a preacher guy. Or I'm kind of they call it a layman in churches, you know, a guy that's not licensed to preach and all. He's a layman. So I thought, you know, it'd be interesting sometime to have other laymen.
You have to have a license to preach?
Yeah, you do.
Do you really?
Unless you're from Arkansas. You can get away with a lot out there. But anyway, I thought, so anyway, I've been talking for some time about I want to have a lay person on the podcast more than once. But to start, I thought, who would be a good person to have as a lay person on the first time we have a token lay person? And I'm calling this a token lay person. Today, Lana Murphy, a friend of all of ours, is our token lay person. I can't say layman because you're obviously not a man.
Correct.
And
are you sure? It's a weird world we're in.
It's not that new a world. Not in here, not in this room. But anyway, so Lana, you're our first lay person on the program, and I'm glad to have you.
Well, glad to be here.
Big fun. I'm looking forward to a lot of fun.
In other words,
glad I could be the first on
his three
that.
preacher friends were too boring. He said, I got to ramp this up a little bit.
They do get a little slow, but I do too. But anyway, we're glad to have you.
Thank you.
And we'll try to make this comfortable for you if we can.
Thank you.
H.D. Jones, good to have you back.
Good to see you.
Since you're supposed to be here, it's nice to have you back. So
happy Saturday morning to you.
H.D. is my mother from another brother. And we have similar ways of thinking sometimes, which is a little frightening.
It's very frightening.
And it used to be, before my hair and whiskers all turned white, I used to get accused of being like your brother or something. And in fact, a couple times somebody said something to me thinking it was you. But I noticed, since I brought that up, that the color is catching up now.
Yes.
I noticed the color on your head
Yep.
is beginning to lighten up a little bit too. Interesting how that works. Neil Andrews.
Hey.
Neil the Andrews, we called him on one episode. And
That's right.
I liked it, so we make you a shirt someday. It says Neil the Andrews.
Ooh, I like that. I'd wear it.
Anyway, good to have you back.
Thank you. It's good.
Neil has been to Ireland again. He's been over there doing the Ireland thing and singing to people on the town square in Belfast and places like that.
In front of the Belfast City Hall.
Yeah, neat. I saw the pictures on the Facebook, as the old people say.
Yeah.
Anyway, glad you're here. You haven't been here in a while because you've been busy.
Yep.
And so we have missed you, just so you know.
I'm here every week because, well, I don't really have a job.
Yes. You're kind of like me. What else you going to do? Anyway, welcome to everybody who might have tuned in. Today on the Front Porch, Neil, HD, and I may not tell anything. And the reason why is because there's this great story that my friend Lana has told before. The first time I heard it, I thought I was going to, bust a gut. I laughed so hard. It was so hilarious. It's still funny to me. And the Front Porch topic today is funny things that have happened at like a church gathering or event or, you know, where you get together. And to be honest with you, I didn't even really come up with one because if this goes like I think it's going to, I won't need to. Neither will you two, probably. But we'll see what happens. You do have something in case, right? Just in case. We'll come up with something.
We'll think of it.
Okay, so anyway, Front Porch Visit. The topic is interesting things that happen at an event. So, Lana, I'm just going to turn it over to you if you will tell us what happened at this event. And
Well, it's hard to tell sitting in a chair. It's a little bit more dramatic than that, but I'm going to do my best.
Well, look, I can wide angle if you need to get up. Yeah,
Really?
Yes. Yeah. In fact, I do recall
I don't know if I can
story.
tell it without getting up.
Well, okay. So you do that.
We'll see.
All
We'll
right.
see. Okay. All right. It's hard to tell at the last minute, but here we go. So typically Lee would be here, my husband, and he would start it off and I would take over because that's just how we kind of do it. But anyway, so my friend was having a birthday party. Her sister called me up and she said, hey, we're having such and such a surprise birthday party. Will you bring rice casserole? I mean, there was, some small talk leading up to that, but will you bring the rice casserole?
So they specifically told you.
Specifically asked me to bring the rice, yeah. Right. So I have never made rice. The extent of my rice experience was Uncle Ben's, open the packet, So I didn't know anything about making rice, and I thought, I don't know how to do that. So I fought it. I fought hard. I was like, is there anything else I can bring? And she insisted no. Really, there were no other options for me, so I was going to have to take the rice. So I was like, okay. So I signed up for the rice, and so Lexi, my daughter, was little. She was probably 5-6 years old. She was little. So we had Lee's mom to come up and babysit for Lexi that day. And I started working on my rice casserole from early that morning. I found a recipe and I started working on it, and I doctored that rice casserole all day long in the oven.
And for the listener or viewer that doesn't know, Lana, you like things to be right.
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
It's a key that we know that.
Yes.
Okay.
I do like for things to be right. So I had found this recipe. I thought that sounds like a really good rice dish. It was just rice, really. But but I had doctored it, with the broth and chicken broth and all the things all day long. Anyway, Lee's mom come up to, I had watched, literally had baked the stuff all day long and kept doctoring on it. Be sure it tasted perfect because, it had to be because they asked me to bring the rice. So Lee's mom was there, and she was there to watch Lexi, and so my rice was finished. It drew near time to go, and I went in the bathroom, Lexi was little, so it was kind of a date night. His mom was up there it's kind of a special night just as for Lee and I to go out somewhere without Lexi. So I had gotten myself all dolled up, and I just, had spent some time doing that, and I was just feeling great about the whole day, the rice, the night. I was feeling great about the whole thing. So anyway, Lee walks in the bathroom. So I'm finishing up getting ready, and I'm feeling great. And he's like, I have something to tell you. And I said, what? And he was like, it's about the rice. And I was like, what about the rice? And he said, well, I went to take it out to the car, and I dropped it. You what? You dropped it? Where did you, explain. I don't know. How, no, first of all, no one asked you to take the rice to the car. Second of all, how did you drop it? And so in my mind, I'm imagining that he dropped it. I had no idea. And so he said, I said, is it salvageable? And he said, no, it's on the garage floor. So now we're talking about, and I was like, okay, maybe I could scoop some off the top that didn't touch the floor in the garage. And he said, I was like, is any of it salvageable? And he said, no. He was like, I swept it into a pile. I was like, oh God, you swept it into a pile. So now we're talking about the rice has gravel, dog hair, whatever else was in the garage floor. And I was like, what? And he put it back in the pan that I'd baked it in. So let me preface by saying, it is safe to eat what I cook. In my mind, I knew what I'm getting ready to tell you is not going to happen. Somewhere I knew it wasn't going to happen. I was just trying to work through it. I was thinking, okay, we can't replace rice. Sure, I could go to the Mexican place, grab some rice, but that's not going to be the same as me baking this rice all day long. And I wanted it to be good. So anyway, I was so mad. I was livid mad about it. So I put all the rice back in the container where he has swept it up, and I got in the car, and I was like, we're taking the rice. And he was like, no, Lana, we can't take the rice. And I was like, no, we're taking the rice. The rice is going with it. We're showing up with the rice. And he was like, no, we can't. And so we get in the car, and I'm just fuming. I'm holding that rice. We're driving there, and he's trying to convince me we can't, the rice can't go in. The rice is going in. And I know he didn't know that I didn't know what I was going to do. I did not have a plan, but I knew the rice wasn't going to go in. But he probably didn't know that. I don't know. Anyway, we pull in. We're getting closer. Well, actually getting closer to the venue. And I said, okay, here's what's going to happen. Here is what's getting ready to happen. And he was like, what? And I was like, we're going to get out of the car. you're going to carry the rice, and then you're going to shake someone's hand. If something's going to happen across the parking lot, you're going to spill the rice in the parking lot so that everyone knows that I baked the rice and got it there, but it got spilled in the parking lot. So we get there, and I got out of the car, and I gave him the rice, and so I thought, okay, this is going to have to go. Like he's going to. By then, I'm getting nervous because I was
how good are his acting skills, right?
So by then, I'm getting nervous, and I'm like, okay, I can't take that rice in there. Like it has dog hair and rocks in it. I cannot take the rice in there. So get out of the car, start walking across the parking lot, and I see one of our friends coming across the parking lot, and I'm thinking, okay, this is when it's going to go down. It's getting ready to happen, right? We get out of the car. He walks up to our friend, and in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this is going to go down. This is where this is going to go down. So Lee turns the rice as he reaches out to shake his friend's hand, and that rice landed. It was as flat, and so to the point where our friend was like, "Good save," and I was like, "No," and I started flinging rice all over the parking lot, and our friend was just like, "What? Why are you doing that?" And anyway, got it all piled back in there, and I was like, "Oh, there's no way we can use this rice. No way." I mean, so. Walk in with the rice, and I showed the girl that had asked me to make the rice. I said, I made the rice, and I dropped it in the parking lot, and I threw it away. Sorry, it's got to go in the trash can, and so it was.
This is like. There's no need for us to tell a story right here, fellas. I don't think it's like this is like a story
Can't
that
top that one.
Can't really top it.
I wish Lee had been here. It's a lot funnier when Lee's standing there.
It is funny.
It's still pretty funny.
Yeah, I was talking earlier during a break that it's nice to have Lee here because Lee's like, if you don't know Lee, he's like 8'4". I think he says he's 6'20". Is that how he says his
how
height?
many inches?
5'20"?
Yeah, something like no.
But anyway, he's real tall. He just kind of stands there looking pitiful as she's talking about how he dumped the rice. But
I was so mad.
Such a hilarious story. Thank you for telling
me.
me.
Did you ever come clean with the friends and tell them?
You know what? Years later, literally years later, we were hanging out with the friends that had witnessed the whole thing in the parking lot, and we told them. We were like, you know what? We never got a chance. We never remembered to tell y'all. And
I think I was there the night you told them that. It was like at a deacon's dinner we had at a Christmas party.
Maybe. Yeah.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. And anyway, we told him, and the guy, David, he said, I have thought about that a lot of times. I thought about that, and I never knew, like, why you, So, but I was in a panic because.
So you literally wigged out.
Well, right then I did, because I thought this rice is getting ready to go in there, and people in here are going to be eating rice that I made that has rocks and dog hair in it.
It sounds like you wigged out more than once because you did at your house, and then you did when you got there.
I had worked hard on that rice. I had worked so hard.
Was there an after story, like on the way back home? Did Lee catch it some more on the way home?
No, I was probably spent on the rice by then.
I'm just thinking, date night did not go as planned.
Well, okay. I don't know about y'all, but I don't have anything anywhere near that exciting that happened.
Yeah, I'm tired.
Neil, did you have? Yeah. I think we've just been topped, as they say. Congratulations. Yeah, that was fun. Thanks for telling that. I know it's taxing, and you had told me earlier it's taxing to tell that story, but I said I had to.
It didn't exhaust me as bad today, I think. I don't know. Maybe I didn't put the energy into it.
No, you condensed it because usually you're standing up when you tell the whole story, and you've got all this theatrics going on.
It's usually a little bit better, but it was good. Yeah.
It was good. Okay, well, that being said, thanks for telling it. Welcome to the podcast. You're now officially over being frightened about anything. I noticed you were really scared during this first segment. But anyway.
I guess.
We'll take a break, come back, talk about some stuff we found about it. Who said faith has to be boring? Could it be that you can be a Christian and have a little fun? Well, of course you can. And we're here to help with our full line of Mike the Baptist t-shirt, hoodies, and onesies in a bunch of different designs featuring the Locust logo and familiar saying from the program. And with a great variety of colors, we're pretty sure you can find what you need to complete your summer wardrobe just in time for summer. Visit MikeTheBaptist.com and click on merchandise. MTB clothing is high quality and comfortable. And with each purchase, you're helping keep Mike the Baptist programs on the air and spreading a bit of good news to people who may not get it any other way. Plus, you're helping us show others that being a Christian isn't quite as boring as it sometimes may seem to the world around us. Visit MikeTheBaptist.com and click on Merchandise and order your MTB apparel today. They make great gifts, too. And check out our logo coffee mugs in left and right-handed 11 or 15 ounce. Thanks again for supporting Mike the Baptist, and thanks for helping us spread a bit of good cheer and good news. We're just Christians. Try not to cuss. Hey, we're back. You know, at the first of this segment, I like to talk about how fascinating the Bible is. And since we have a token layperson here, she was worried that somebody might ask her something on the spot that she wasn't prepared for. This is that spot. Yeah. Tell us something you find fascinating about the Bible, just off the cuff. What do you find fascinating about the Bible?
That it's alive. That every time you open it up, it speaks to you differently. It's a living word, you know, as we.
Mm-hmm. There you go. She summed that up right quick. It is, isn't it? I mean, it's you hear people say that a lot. That every time you open it, if you really read it
mm-hmm.
and think about it, mm-hmm. there's always something new.
Well, it speaks to you different, you know, every
mm-hmm.
time, and you might read a scripture one day, and it speaks to you in a whole different way than if you read it that next week.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. It is. Okay, mm-hmm. So we're going to turn this over to the preachers now and let them talk about what we found in the Bible this week.
We've been, again, reading in 1 Thessalonians, and you guys know that one of the things Paul's doing in this book is he's trying to encourage people that life is difficult. Even some of their friends have passed away, but that Christ is going to come back and make everything okay. One of my favorite verses in Proverbs says, "Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but the desire fulfilled is the tree of life." And, you know, it's kind of where we're living today, is this reality that we're waiting for Christ to come back. And there's kind of there's that hope that we have, and yet there's the reality of the sufferings that we have. So how do you keep a positive attitude, I guess, about life, knowing that Jesus is coming back? Enoch walked with God, and Elijah was taken up, taken away. But I think that's part of the process that we have, is that wait. You know, you're saying that, Michael, it made me think about when you go to a place like Disney World, or you go to even like Dixie Stampede, there's always a pre-show that gets you ready for the show. You know, and the life that we're living right now is kind of the pre-show. It's not as comfortable. There's not as much enjoyment, but there's a lot of good to it. And I think, like what you were saying, it reminds us that we got to have some hope, and that's what Paul talks about. He says, "I don't want you to grieve as those with no hope." And usually when I'm doing a funeral, I'll try to remind the family of that. Paul doesn't say not to grieve.
Right.
We need to grieve because something tragic has happened. But he says, I don't want you to grieve as those who have no hope. So you and I have hope. And the hope is that, Christ is coming back. He's going to fix all the crazy stuff that's gone wrong in our life. So it does give us the opportunity to enjoy life. I was talking to a young man a couple of weeks ago, and there was a theological concern that he had, and we were kind of talking back and forth about it. And he was really worried about it. And I finally said, you fight from victory, not for victory. See, when we deal with anything, we're fighting from victory. We don't have to fight for victory. We're fighting from reality that Christ has already won all of this, and it's just a matter of us enjoying the game.
I think there's a time too in there. You were going to say something else, so I butted in. You sure?
Go right ahead.
I think there's that understanding of, I have friends that their whole drive is, I want to get my ticket out of here. That's the perspective, is that's what you're there to achieve, what we're here to achieve. And yet I think God calls us to be like his son and act like his son, and that's more important than making sure you got your ticket out of here.
Yeah.
That's kind of the critical, being like Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're supposed to do what you said. But
Have fun, live your life. Isn't it interesting how older folks, I recall this from growing up in churches, that older people, the older they got, the more they wanted to go home, the more they wanted to be there, And the younger you are, it seems like, I want to live life for a while. I guess it's all natural, though, right?
I think so.
I mean, to think all those things and feel that way. And
if you think about, I used to look at my grandparents, and I would think, why do you just have one little Christmas tree sitting in the middle of the kitchen table? There was no decorations, nothing. They quit buying presents, but they acknowledged it was Christmas, and they'd get us, we get our Brute cologne and a pair of socks or whatever, but I always was like, why don't you celebrate Christmas? And, now being a grandparent, it's exciting. And now the grandkids, we look forward to buying them stuff, but I can already see the day where they're going to care less and less about being with us.
Mhm.
And there's probably going to come that day when I look at Susan and go, let's just put a pop-up tree in the living room and be done. Just too much work. Been there, done that. And I think that's part of it, Michael. It's like we've experienced a few Christmases, but after you've experienced 80 of them, you kind of like,
right.
Been through this.
Yeah, I'm not completely there, but I'm getting there with those kind of holidays. It's like I just want to see all my people. I'm happy. Just let me see all my people. Very near the studio here I live, and I recall the last time I put lights up on this house. I had backed my old International pickup up under a big eave.
It's in pieces now, right?
It's in pieces.
It's
I
been
took
a
it
while.
apart to refurbish
It's
it.
been a while
I
since
haven't
you
gotten
put the
around to putting it back
lights
together. But the last time I did that, I had backed that old truck up under a window, under the highest peak of my house outside, and I was up at the top rung of that ladder, stretching out,
Thinking, what a dummy.
hanging that top peak, and I'm looking down, and I'm going like, this is not really worth it. So I don't do that anymore. I don't put the lights up anymore. In fact, a couple Christmases, I didn't even put a tree up recently.
Shame.
Man,
Yeah. Isn't that sad?
is that in the Bible?
I don't know. But if you feel sorry for me, send me a pie or something. So,
Fruitcake. That's
so
Christmas.
what are you talking about in this section? You're talking about waiting?
Yeah.
And what is it we're doing while we're waiting?
Yeah.
What do you do all week, Lana, while you're waiting? You and I share a real estate thing. We both are realtors.
Mm-hmm.
I know you do some of that, but what
Yep.
else do you do while you're waiting? That's not all you do, is it?
I try to exercise.
Now, hang on. I got to buzz that. Exercise is kind of a... Is that on? Yeah, it's on.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, it's not a spiritual word, but it's just offensive.
Because he doesn't do it.
I don't do it much. I've been doing some chair yoga. Look it up. Okay. What do you do?
Chair yoga.
Now, women are a little more structured as far as studying Bibles and doing all that, aren't they?
I don't know. Maybe. I could probably use a little more structure, so maybe it's.
I guess I missed the mark on that one a little bit.
I don't know what I do all week long. It's always different. Every week is different. I mean, yeah, every week. I mean, I do a lot of stuff.
Do you think?
Spread pretty thin.
Do you think you should be 24 hours a day doing something spiritual?
No. I mean, no, I don't think. No. I mean, maybe in the back of your mind, you want to keep that in mind, but I don't know that it's probably not reasonable for me to think that I would read the Bible 24 hours a day or try to witness 24 hours a day, you know.
Good point. Thank you.
But I should.
If you read the Bible more, though, you wouldn't fuss at your husband and be deceptive about your rice dish.
Well, that was some time ago, so I'm sure there's been some study going on since then.
But you know, I think, you know, again, this waiting period it's us in fellowship with God and with others. I mean, you know, he tells us the greatest commandment to love him and then to love others, and that's what we're called to do. And if we're doing that while we're at work or while we're at play, you know, that's what we're called to do. And I was thinking when you asked that question, Michael, because I know your angle of, you know, it's not too churchy, but before sin entered the world, Adam was working, and work was worship. Adam was hanging out with animals, and hanging out with animals was part of worship. So really sin has hurt our ability to do worship, but really just being alive, doing our things. Going to the gym and working out can be worship if you're doing it because I want to take care of my body the best I know how, and I'm listening to a podcast from a local preacher. Maybe listening to Mike the Baptist.
There you go.
That will help you lose weight right there. Let's start promoting that.
There you go.
Yeah.
And don't you feel like people want to? Well, there's that intriguing thing too. If we're talking about end times, and talking about what are we doing in that time period before Christ comes back, and it's very clear in Scripture that nobody knows when that's going to be, and yet I see folks all the time kind of. I think it's the humanness in it, in each one of us, that craves. We need control in our lives. So I really need to figure out when that's going to be. And every little thing that pops up, we go, oh, maybe that's it. Oh, maybe next week. The weather's really bad. Maybe, you know, whatever. And there are a lot of folks that will write things about there. I hear preachers talking about that too. So is that acceptable, or is that something that we should completely avoid, or what would you think about that?
I think it's good to talk about. I really do think it's good to talk about, recognizing that there's some definite boundaries where I could look at somebody and go, no, you're just wrong about that. But inside of those boundaries, I think it's kind of healthy to think through and talk through, because I think it does make us, it makes us be more dependent on him, as opposed to I've got all this figured out.
Right. Yes.
You know, again, if we know we win, then that gives us some security and peace, but then we're not living life in a way that's lazy or even cocky, you know, just, oh, I know how this is all going to work out. This is what's going to happen. California's going to fall off, so I moved out of California, and then Florida's going to fall off, so I moved out of Florida. There's an unknown element to it.
Right.
And I think that's there for a reason.
And that's kind of like, I think about Abraham and God telling him to go.
Yep.
What did he do when God told him to go?
Yeah, he went.
He was obedient,
Yep.
and he went. God tells me to go, I go, where?
Yep.
Just tell me
Why?
where I'm stepping. Well, yeah, I don't even have to have the why sometimes if I knew it was God. It's just show me a little bit of it, and yet that's not for us to know.
Is there specific scriptures that say what to do with the rest of your time? Y'all are the licensed people here. This is a layperson question from Lana and I.
Yes, most of the New Testament is laced with how we are to live. Was it Chuck Colson that wrote "How Now Shall We Live"?
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Great book.
Great book,
Yes.
right? How now shall we live? We are to live in anticipation. But I would point to 1 John. The Gospel of John is how to get in a relationship with God. 1 John is how to live in intimacy with God. And so that's a reality of who we are supposed to be each and every day, is that we're to love God, we're to love other people, and we're to work on that until He calls us home, until He comes back, And so, there's a lot of the New Testament that just reminds us, even in the book of Revelation, this I have against you, you've forgotten your first love. In other words, you weren't living out the calling that you have on your life. And so, there's a lot of the Bible that teaches us how to live.
And most of it's just interacting, isn't it, with other people?
A lot
Isn't
of
it?
Yeah. Because you're saved. It's not like you're going to get saveder, and savedest, So you're saved, but now it's that growing in intimacy. This is used in Scripture, and I think it really applies for us to understand. Marriage is one of those things that you thought you knew that person that day you made your vows and went on your honeymoon, but for us that have been married for a while, you look back on it and go, we've really grown together.
Mm. And a lot you didn't know.
A lot you didn't know,
Right.
didn't understand, but you've grown together, and that's intimacy. That's building that relationship, and that's kind of what we do with God. We didn't really know everything about God, and we're learning about Him.
Thoughts?
I mean, not really. I just working on being more ready every day. It's one day, every day it's one day closer. So just work on being more and more ready.
I don't ever think about that until I hear that.
What's that?
Being ready, because it might be today. When I grew up in Pentecostal churches back out in Arkansas.
What is that
Pentecostal?
for people that don't know?
I think the Pentecostals are a little more of a believe in a Holy Ghost type thing, where there's a
Casper?
no Holy Ghost.
Oh.
Casper wasn't holy.
It wasn't
Casper's
bad.
just a white. It's just a more. I think they have
Emotional
Just a
response.
white sheet.
emotional. Yeah, I think you could say that. I think they would argue that it's not just emotional, but
Well, not just
there's a whole discussion
Yep.
about that. But in the Pentecostal churches that I grew up in, I recall it was pretty regular. You heard the end is coming. He is coming back. I mean, he's coming back, and there was this healthy fear that it generated in you. And I don't so much, as an adult going to churches, I don't so much hear that in churches anymore. On occasion, I do, but not regularly, where I'm always kind of on the edge of my seat about that. And I said healthy fear because I think that's what it actually was.
Yeah.
And I could use it myself. Drop that in when you're preaching once in a while, like, get it together, Jackson, because it's coming.
It's coming. Get ready.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and there's always going to be a debate amongst denominations about who's right, who's wrong. I got this suspicion we're all going to be surprised when we get there about all that stuff. And I suspicion it's not going to be the big hoopla it is.
Well, again, at one point in all of our lives, we were all single, and we looked at married people, and we thought, I would never live my life like this. I'd never let my wife
right?
drop the rice out of my hands and go act crazy. I would never let that happen. And then we do the same thing when we don't have kids.
Yeah.
We see kids in the store, and we say, well, if that was my kid, I'd jerk them up, and I'd do this, and I'd do that. And then you have a spouse,
All right.
and then you have kids, and it looks a whole lot different than probably what was in your head
Yeah.
at 18 years old. So I agree with you that so much of what we argue about denominationally, and even in the church, I think one day we'll all kind of go, oh,
Yeah.
thought I knew what I thought,
Surprise, surprise.
but it's not exactly the way I thought.
Probably all of us that hang a shingle out
Yes.
of what denomination we are. Probably when we get there, I think the first thing they'll do to us in heaven is chuckle. Just a little bit.
I'm pretty sure we're going to be in remedial class.
Did you ever think
Maybe.
about what you're going to be doing when he comes back? like what you're going to be doing, you know?
I don't
Like,
want to think about
Am I going to
that,
be
but-
sitting in my bedroom reading the Bible, or am I going to be on the phone gossiping?
Yeah.
You know?
Yep, I knew that was probably the worst thing she's done lately.
Yeah, I'm pretty good. That's not all that bad.
No, but that's along the same lines. What I was talking about, that I grew up hearing things that made you think.
Yeah.
That made you think. Because it seems like modern culture has a tendency to let the religion thing slide in this easy thing for you, you know, that's it's all geared about feeling good and, you know, and not really spooking you a little bit. But I still think you need to be spooked a little once in a while.
It's just like death. We know it's coming, but most of us really don't prepare for it. And again, as a pastor doing funerals, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, the children who are standing there, who mom made all the decisions and mom paid for the funeral and mom, they are in a much better position to just be there and mourn, as opposed to those who are having to make these decisions. Do we spend this much money for this casket or that casket, or do we do cremation or we don't do cremation? And then there's fighting, and then there's all this angst, and then do we sing this song or that song? But the person who's planned to die, everybody else can just enjoy it.
I would say along that line, I appreciate you, H. You're the pastor of my church, and you regularly say you're going to die. I appreciate that, because it is a good reminder that you are. And to me, if I hear that, it just means, you know, I got some more living I need to go do here. Try to do it,
Right.
you know, pretty good. But so I appreciate you doing that. I want you to know that. And Neil, sing some dying songs or something once in a while. I need that.
Oh,
Would you?
good. We do.
Let's see, Lana, just tell me real estate is going to tank, and you need to do something else for some of that time. Okay, I need these things. Did you get
You know,
anywhere
Inny
close to where-
reminded us in class, in our Connect class at church, that our age group is in the, what did he say, the third quarter? That was a really sad lesson.
Yeah.
But it
A little
was
sobering.
real. I mean, you know, he was like, I mean, most of us here in the third quarter, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little sobering.
yeah.
Yeah. It's sobering to think you're in that category where
They give
it's
you
a little
discount
dangerous
at the
to sit on those
restaurant.
hard plastic seats for an hour during a Connect class.
Yeah.
I'll give you time to think about that. Okay. That's probably not where this needed to end, but hey, Lana, you know, at the end of these Bible talks, we like to kind of imagine that there's somebody out there driving around that stumbled upon this,
Yeah.
who's not soaked up in Christianity, like,
Churchy.
who's not churchy.
Yeah,
Soaked.
soaked up.
But anyway, if that person were listening to you right now, what would you tell them about this whole being saved thing and all this stuff we've been talking about? What does that have to do with them? What would you say to that person as far as inviting them to kind of take part in some of this or try it? Or what would you say to them?
Well, it would be nice if you knew why they had not made that decision. But if you know, I would just say, you know, I always think about it's a, what is it, hospital for the sick rather than a shrine. What is it? How does that go? Remind me.
Yep. Hospital for sinners.
Yeah, hospital.
Not a rest home for the saints.
Yeah, yeah. I always think about that because I feel like a lot of people think that they're not good enough to come into church, or they're going to be, you know, they'll be judged, or I don't know. I don't know. Does that answer your question? Not really.
Yes,
I guess
it does. I think this is where we have said recently, give it a try.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like if you've
yeah.
tried everything else, and you know, and I'm pretty positive if somebody happens to be listening to something like this far into this, they're looking for something.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like
I
they
would
just
think.
they don't. I mean, I don't know. They don't know what they're missing, really. I mean, they have it in their head that it's something completely different maybe than what it is.
Ah, yeah, I like that. Because it is, it's different than I thought it was.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I thought it was gonna be
I don't go
boring,
to
but-
church because I'm perfect. I don't go to church, you know, I go to church because I need to work on being better
Is your life not more fun because of it?
because of go to church.
Yeah, because you're
mean,
saved, as they say.
I
Just
mean,
say
it's
yeah.
more peace. Yeah, you
Yes,
have more
peaceful,
peace
yeah.
and everything. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what would you do if you weren't saved? I mean, how would you deal with anything that comes your way, any kind of struggles? How in the world would you deal with it if you couldn't count on the Lord to be there? You know, I mean, like I said, we talked about earlier, the end game. So worst thing that's going to happen, you know.
And that is part of that end game. You know, there's a Bible verse that's really, really odd. That there's this peace that passes all understanding.
Mm-hmm.
That's an odd statement. I mean, especially for that person who's hurting. Life has not gone well. Maybe they're dealing with a health issue or a broken relationship or a financial issue, and they're just hurting. And you're sitting there going, well, there's this peace that passes all understanding. But for those of us who have given our life to Christ, we would just have to say, you know what, we've been through some of that stuff too, because being a Christian doesn't mean life's going to be easy. But there's just this reality that we win in the end, that we're fighting from victory. So we go through cancer, we go through broken relationships, we lose people that we love. If somebody hits my thumb with a hammer, it hurts. And, you know, we have all the same struggles that you have, but there is this just abiding peace that, you know, after you get past the shock, I mean, let's be honest, we have the shock of this circumstance that we cry and we get upset, but then all of a sudden there's just this presence with us, which is God, that says, I've got this. So.
And if you don't have that, like Lana said, what do you do? I mean, it's hard to think back when you didn't have it.
It's hard enough for us, and we have that, you know. I mean, it's not like, you know, we're going to get bad news and say, oh, well, I had the Lord. Right. It's not like that, you know, but once you process, then, you know, it may take a while, some things longer than others, but once you process.
Give it a try, as they say.
Give it a try.
Whoever says. Okay, good talk. Did we get close to where you want to be there?
Pretty good.
All right, that's tiring. Let's take a break, come back and play Inny or Outty.
Hey everybody, it's time to play America's almost favoriteest new game show, Inny or Outty, where we challenge our guests to figure out if a phrase we give them is actually in the Bible or out of the Bible. Sharpen your wits, guest. You're about to be in the hot seat of Bible stuff, because you're the next contestant on Inny or Outty. Here's Mike.
Isn't it kind of exciting having somebody here to play Inny or Outty live with us? That's just, instead of, you know, we're so used to just losing alone, and now we have somebody to lose with.
Yes.
But I suspect.
Does she know how to play?
Oh, yeah, she knows how to play.
Of course I know how to play.
Of course she knows how to play.
Spread the blame around, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, are you asking that, does she know that somebody will ask something and then somebody else will say, is that in the Bible or out of the Bible?
Aren't the rules just is either an Inny or an Outty? Are
That's
there
kind
more
of
rules
it.
involved in that?
That's why we quit explaining it.
Okay.
Because people know by now, correct?
Okay.
Yes.
Exactly right.
I think so.
HD and I will be in the power seats. He'll be in the power seat once, I'll be in the power seat once, and the rest of you ever how that works. Anyway, one of us will ask a question, the rest of you talk about it, try to come to an answer. HD, you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Go ahead. I feel you're ready.
I was afraid you were going to say that. Are hemorrhoids in the Bible? Talk amongst yourselves. Is that an Inny or Outty? Hemorrhoids. Inny or Outty?
Oh.
Wow.
Okay. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll sit back and watch and be entertained.
I mean, I think I'm going to go with no. I mean, and
Actually,
if so, it's described in a different way.
Well, I mean, I'm asking the question, so I can't have the conversation with you so much.
Keep talking, Lana. He'll give you the answer if you just keep talking. You'll confuse him.
Yeah, you get me a little off track. What do y'all think over there?
I would think that would be more obvious than his carpal tunnel in the Bible.
Right.
Because that's something that is repetitive motion from typing.
Yes.
Right?
Or scribing.
So they didn't do that back then. Well, scribing, yes.
No H. No.
That was longer.
No
Stop. Stop.
No H.
Repetitive motion.
No H.
He's killing me.
That's what they call it.
Carpal
Really,
tunnel?
carpal tunnel?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Yep, from computer stuff and things like I'm doing here while
stuck in
we're
that position.
putting this together. So,
Would not
okay,
surprise me.
it wouldn't surprise you?
I mean, I'm thinking they didn't call it that.
Are you
I think
talking-
that's a medical term, but maybe they.
Right. Are you asking if the word hemorrhoid is in the Bible?
No,
You're not. The concept of what a hemorrhoid is.
not actually a concept.
No, but
I mean, it's a
the broadly,
actual problem.
It can be.
In our world today, do they have hemorrhoids and heroids?
No,
No,
that would be a hemorrhoid,
Oh,
not a hemorrhoid.
those have not gone woke yet, I don't
gotcha.
think. Yeah, it's not the concept, because we talk here from time to time about the concept. But we're
Even though
actually
this is a
talking
simple
about.
game. We confuse ourselves thoroughly.
Exactly.
So I'm
Go
gonna
with
say
your gut.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it is.
I'm gonna say yes because if I remember correctly, when the Philistines stole the Ark of the Covenant, when the Philistines stole the Ark of the Covenant, I think
It
that
was heavy, I guess.
I think that was one of the punishments.
But the hemorrhoid
that
or
was-
the covenant
The ark.
I think that was one of the punishments. It either says like hemorrhoids or
So it said the word, you think?
well, maybe yes. I think so. I really do think it's in there for some reason.
I do too, but I don't.
Well, it's
So, what we do now, Lana, is the three of you have to
Yeah.
come to one answer.
Yeah, we
It
have
used
to-
to be we separated and tried to keep
Yeah.
points, and we never could.
Well, I'm not gonna deny that the situation,
Oh, thank
come
you
up
for
on
that. The
them.
situation. That's a good
the situation
she
come
says
up
it a
on
whole lot
them.
nicer than us.
word. She did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the word is not used, but
Okay.
I'm gonna say that situation
Okay, wait a minute.
described
Maybe
differently.
Maybe Philistines things was tumors. But I'm pretty sure it was like hemorrhoids.
Wow. Okay. I'm the lay person. I
You might
lose.
be right though, see, because we lose a lot just to make people like you
mean-
feel good about yourselves.
Yes.
Oh, is that why you lose?
Yes, that's why. That's why.
It's on purpose. Yeah.
I think it's in
I
there.
think it's in there as well.
All right. Okay.
So it
The
is
lay person
a-
loses.
So it's an
So we're gonna go as an innie.
it's an innie.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see. Let's go to King James, 1 Samuel 5:6. But the hand of the Lord was heavy upon them of Ashdod, and he destroyed them and smote them with emerods. So emerods is actually, let's see, how did it go?
I mean, yeah.
There was an medieval term that changed that to Amoroidish or something, and then that was translated even later to Amoroids, and then today we call them.
I believe that passage, depending on which translation you use,
Yes,
is the one where it says he smote them on their parts behind.
he did. He actually did, and there's a part of it that explains
what
what
that
that
was.
is, even with the itch.
It does.
Verse
really.
17 says,
Oh, my
and
God.
these are the golden hemorrhoids,
Yes.
which the Philistines returned
See?
for an offering back to the Lord. So
Oh.
I still can't wrap my mind around why they made golden.
What was your reference?
1 Samuel 6, 17 and 19. That's
But the
talking
other
about
one
the
says-
golden ones.
Yeah.
But earlier, 1 Samuel 5, 6 is where they were smote with them. Smote with the emerods. But I think the King James Version is the only one that says the word emerods. Some of the other versions lighten the load there a little bit on the how they, you know what I'm saying, how they explain.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're
So
saying.
y'all were right.
Yeah.
I
So
was
they're
wrong.
in there.
Yeah.
Yes. And of
they're
course, the
out.
New Living Translation just says roids. So,
That's it.
okay, that's mine. Congratulations,
Yeah.
y'all won.
Way to
Way to
go,
go, Lana. Welcome to Inny.
Thanks. That was loads of fun.
Yes, boy. HD, what do you-
Loads of fun.
Loads of fun.
like
What do you
it.
have,
It was
H?
piles of fun.
What?
Nothing.
like abundant grapes.
What do you have, H? We have to get out of this right here.
We do. So, since you've thrown that at us,
Uh-oh.
cancer is the word cancer in the Bible.
The actual word.
Yep.
Oh. Okay, I have a gut reaction.
This is the way he does it to give himself
Right, I try to cover it.
75%
So
chance.
I get it.
my gut says yes.
I mean, my gut says yes. Why do I feel like I've read that before? I don't know where. nothing about it, but I feel like it might be in there.
It's got a good feeling.
Okay.
Neil?
I would think so. And I can't pin where it is, but
Boy,
it's probably near the hemorrhoids.
3 strong gut
The medical
reactions.
section of the Bible.
Well, now they
That would be
were.
Luke, right?
They did in the same passages about that. There were talk of tumors
Yeah.
and such. This seems like the place that would happen. All that.
Yeah, but do you think that the word cancer? I mean, that the Bible's pretty old, so
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's
I mean, I
interesting.
find it interesting that word would have carried up bad hemorrhoids.
How would they have known? How would they have known that you had cancer in those days? Because that's
It would probably just.
mostly internal, isn't
They
it?
probably didn't
I
really
wonder
know.
if that's a
But
designation to the disease, that the word existed before the actual.
yeah.
They clarified it as all of these symptoms equate to what we now call cancer.
Or like maybe a cancer, like
But
a,
it's-
a cancer.
But it's something that would eat away. I don't know.
Interesting. This has given me these great new idea for when I develop the board game for Inny or Outty, a medical version.
It could be like a road, like you go down this path and it's medical.
Right. Yeah, like you move your little
Oh, I'm on the roids.
juice.
Wow.
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 Welcome, Lana.
Right?
Yeah, welcome. It's interesting that this happened on the day you came. My apologies. Well, it's just because it's so odd. It's just normally it's not quite this odd.
Are you sure?
I'm good for it. Yeah.
Actually, maybe. I think we're kind of Innies,
I
aren't we?
think so.
I think we're Inny. We think that's an Inny.
Really? You think the word cancer is in the Bible?
Not really.
Actually,
I'm just going along with them. You caught me. You caught me
so
there.
quick to stand your convictions. Actually, it is in like New Living Translation.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
interesting when you study the topic of cancer. So I had all the Bible software and you study the topic of cancer. It will point you to phrases in the Bible that will say things like the brittleness of my bone, and they would say that was a form of cancer, or these tumors that's a form of cancer. That word probably was not in the Hebrew dialect, but it's mentioned there.
Interesting. All right. So, 2 wins.
That's right.
Wow.
This is wow. You're good luck for the program here, Lana.
Woo woo.
Nice. And
It was all me.
It was interesting that it was all medical too.
Well, when you threw that out there, I was like, I'll go with this one.
Okay.
Oh, you just rolled off what he said, so
What?
you didn't really have it prepared.
Oh yeah. I had it
Well, he's
prepared.
got stuff.
I got a list
He sat around and somewhere he went. Where'd you
okay.
go? Hawaii or
I don't know.
Las Vegas or
somewhere.
Greenbrier? You went somewhere and sat around. He developed
Yeah.
a bunch of these
Oh, I see.
from
Okay.
somewhere.
Okay.
Okay, good. That was a good round. Very entertaining and fun educational. I learned a lot today
Yes.
on Inny or Outty. We'll take a break, come back and tell you goodbye. I don't know what else to say right here.
Oh, wow. What a great contestant and a fine sport today on Inny or Outty, America's almost favorite new game show. Study up, future guest people. You're next in the hot seat for Inny or Outty.
Thanks for being with us, Lana.
Yeah, enjoyed it.
This did not let me down. I thought it was going to be great having a token layperson, and I'm honored that you were our first token layperson.
I feel like the Rice story wasn't what it could have been, but
Well, but it was great.
Under
It's
the
always
circumstances,
good.
yeah.
It's just always good. And well, someday,
I bet one of our 3 listeners will really enjoy that.
I'm sure they will. And Lee's one of them, so those other 2 folks.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks for being here.
yeah, I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Big fun. Lana will be here next week, too.
Maybe sometime we should bring Leo and get his version.
Well, I was just thinking that at some point it'd be nice to have them both here. To
I could tell you what Lee's version would be. Well,
Yeah, it would take a
I
long
spilled
time.
the rice.
Yeah, and then he would wait. Spilled rush.
She said we
Well,
was going to have people eat it.
That's right.
Well, I knew we couldn't do that.
He'd say, well. But anyway, yeah, we'll work on that. HD Jones,
And good to see you.
good to
be
see you
here.
again. See you next week. Actually, I'll see you before then. But anyway, For the purpose of this program, good to see you. Nice to have you here. Neil,
Yeah.
glad you made it back safely from
Thanks.
Ireland. And you look healthy.
Thanks.
Food must have been okay over there.
Lucky Charms.
Oh, scones every morning.
Any
Magic Whip.
shepherd's pie? Do you have any shepherd's pie?
No, that's
That's
well,
London.
they do have that there, but it's no, it's more like, yeah, don't go there.
Okay.
Because haggis will come up.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about haggis. We've talked about haggis before. Okay, anyway,
No, haggis.
good to have you here. So,
We'll tell you.
Oh, thanks.
future
I'm
Inny
looking
or
forward
Outty
to it.
is haggis in the Bible. Hey, thanks for being here. We'll see you next time. Remember, folks, we're all just Christian people. Trying not to.
I watch it every Saturday, but I can't remember sin.
That's probably appropriate. Yeah.
Or cuss.
Or cut.
Oh yeah, cuss.
Let's try it again. Remember, folks, we're all just Christians. Trying not to.
Cuss.
Yes. See you next time.
I think we should have left that the way it was.
He probably will.
Okay.
Mike the Baptist.